how do we speak about African dance? How is the body? What are the discourses we have about the body? But most of all, what is it that we see and how can we see it, and what tools can we use to not only see it but apply it on different bodies? Very few people know what are the things that inspire me to do this deconstruction approach. Because it's an approach, it's not a method. So I came up with all these principles and all this aesthetic, all this technique that makes it now not only applicable to African dancers, but also to non-African dancers. Hey, here, not round, straight. Not round, straight. Yes, sir. Show me again, dancers. It just took another step forward by starting to work with ATD, starting to work with Dutch dancers, and starting to apply something that I was used to using with African dancers. I knew it was working, but I was like facing dancers who didn't know about traditional dance. And I was like, how can I apply this to dancers who do not know African traditional dance? Can it work? How can I do this? Tac, tac, yes, nice. Yes, yes. Ta ta ta, ta ta, change, ta ta ta. Arms like you carry a trail, comme si on portait un plateau. Okay? And this movement. Bam. That collaboration with the teaching department and working with these Dutch dancers, European dancers I should say, has pushed me to go further in my reflection about what is it that I'm teaching, what makes African dance African dance. Pas ça. Ça, c'est ce qu'on appelle un impact. Moi, je veux que ce soit, voilà, lisse et régulier. You have 4 parts or 4 sections. The first one has to do with a somatic approach of how movement is felt in the body. Voilà. N'oublie pas que tu as une tête aussi. La tête fait partie, hein? Ah, voilà. Then the second part has to do with walking and moving in a dynamic way. That's an increase of energy, but also what I call entering the great time. Soft gaze, becoming harder and harder. Fix. Then you have a third one where it's really about exercises, practice, deconstructing patterns and sequence. Ta, ta. Now there's a slight bounce. Ta, ta, ta. And the last part has to do with a short combination, dance combination, where they explore appropriation, expressivity. Sometimes you have another part that's improvisation.
How are you?
Connect with your breathing. And let's look at each other. Et on se regarde. Ancré dans sa terre, dans son sol et dans sa respiration. Starting with the ritual, the energy ritual is really to do with connecting with one another, connecting with the space, connecting with people. It's like a mental preparation, a way of entering a church, a temple, making that space a sacred space for the time to dance. And pressing gently hands to give and receive. Vers la terre, vers le ciel, vers les autres. enter your bubble and to focus on yourself, connecting with the floor and giving information to the floor as well as receiving from it. Head, the sky, lengthening your neck, front and back open and wide. And look what is in front of you like it's the very first time you're looking at it. Engage contraction. On engage les contractions. Hey. The somatic approach has to do with constructing or reconstructing or exploring in a landscape. Engaging, waving. On engage le mouvement de la vague. It's really exploring some principles that are going to be used a lot, like undulation, extension, waving, contraction, and we explore it from big movement to very small movement. Let's get now into nuances, subtleties, small movement. Waving with the head. This exploration helps dancers to understand how to use the spine, how to use the cervicals, the head, the way they can move it in a particular aesthetic way. It's your navel, avec le nombril, waving. The more they get familiar, they get used to it, then I bring a new challenge to awaken the mind more, because there is that need of challenging and digging the curiosity, the activity of how does it feel. But mostly what is really effective for me is they have to reach the point where it's almost still and living, still living there. So they have that hypersensitivity to what's going on inside and how it is moving. Push my hand, push my hand. Yes, and now, there. And back, easy. To give them another approach is, okay, you work with a partner so you can see what the other is doing, rather than look from the inside, now look from the inside out, look other. Aha. Breathe now, breathe, you're not breathing. Ah, there, you see? Breathe. More flow. Normally, she moved a little bit. It's very small, but she did. Yeah? So what you want is to have this. Not this. No. Huh? Try to have it subtle, not too big, small. Yes. You have another way of exploring, listening to movement through touch, because we use a lot of inner visual perspective, outer visual perspective, and now through touch, you can feel that the spine is moving a particular way. So I think it informs the dancer. Yeah? So feel, connect, synchronize. On sent, on synchronise. OK? On y va? Chest, la poitrine. Voilà. Try to be really together, moving. Undulation and waving. From the moment we share a space, we are connected, the same space. We're all connected on the planet Earth, but it's more visible when we're next to each other. Follow her. Yes. Easy, breathe. Yes, that's better. I realized the more I was focused on space and wanting to connect with space, it helped my somatic approach. The soma has to do with the body, but the body is in the space. So we cannot think of the body without thinking of the space, the inner space and the outer space. So it just made sense for me to talk also about being connected with things. Now follow music. Somatic is kinesthesia, are things that are applied all the time to help dancers to get better. And now together. To feel that I am with my body, but I'm also with the space. I'm in, but I'm also out at the same time. And the somatic helps the inside, but I want more also of the outside. Ha ha, ha, ha ha, and walk. The dancing requires strong bodies, strong people, beautiful people, proud people. At the same time, it requires sensitivity and vulnerability. But I don't want to emphasize on that. People already know they're vulnerable. They don't always know that they're strong and they're beautiful. So you have to remind them that. Ta, flat foot, easy, gentle, echo. Pa, entering the great time, being together. Pa, pa, pa. Breathe. Ha. Soft gaze, becoming harder and harder. Fix. The second section of my class has to do with walking and dancing. It's the time where the dancer leaves his own bubble. So far, he's been focused on himself, trying to really feel, understand his inner landscape. And for the first time, he has to come out of that bubble and start building a bigger bubble with the others. That happens through vibration, through stomping the floor. So walking, back, back. They have to hear the vibration as one. Up, up, tack, te. And at the same time, stomping the floor is what I'm calling the ancestors. That awakes ancient memories, memories of our ancestors. Chaque pas, ça te donne la force. Et pam, pa, ah, ah, ah. Dancers need to understand, yes, it's about my body, it's about me, but not only. Because we are connected to the space, we are connected to people, and dance does not happen alone. We're riding that energy. We're together, and we build that. Slowly, regularly, and fast. Until they reach a state they're into it. It's repetitive, it's strong, intense, and we increase that a lot. Basically, they enter a state of trance. They feel that the energy is really in them and in the group, and that they supported by the group. And when they are in the moment, sportsmen will say they're in the zone. When basketball players or footballers, they're in the zone, they're in extreme control. And yet, it feels like, wow, they could do anything, but they're in absolute control of what they're doing. That's what I want the dancers to be. I want them to be in that zone of being in the present, and yet to be in control of what they're doing. Trance is a word that I really don't like because it's charged with a lot of preconceived ideas. I think when you're present in the moment, that's enough. You feel what you're doing, you're aware of it. So it's more like a complete, absolute tune to the space around us. You're aware of what's happening with the others, with yourself. The spine is probably the basis of the whole technique. The way you will use your spine is fundamental to the understanding and the approach of the aesthetic.
Many times. 5 with the music.
We have two kinds of bodies in African dance. We have the vibrating bodies that has to do with oscillation, swaying and things like that. And you have the undulating body that has to do with flow and the way we use the spine.
Move. Autorisé. OK. Tac. Tac, tac. With me. Avec moi. Tac. Tac, tac. Now there's a slight bounce. Tac.
I just want them to feel the essence of what it is to vibrate, what it is to undulate.
Tac, tac. You see that bounce? Tac.
Basically get the essence of those principles.
That's the double bounce as well. Hey, yes, we have it there. Pa.
So we're always doing something that, whether it's vibrating, whether it's undulating or rotating.
Faster. Ta, 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 ta. This. Use your knees to allow that movement to happen easy and gentle.
I might talk about one thing, but actually there are many things at the same time that are working. It's actually the synergy of all these things in action that makes this a particular aesthetic and makes it an African dance form.
Feel that you pull by your leg behind. Ta, 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 ta. Show me. 5, 6, 7, go.
Most of our dance forms are connected to the earth.
Sit.
Though we dance with the sky, they're connected to earth.
Afro, afro. 5, 6, 7, go. Ta,
Your flow, how do you connect? Because the way you connect to the floor with your feet affect the way you use your spine and you use your head. The bouncing has different direction. It's not always towards the floor. It can be up to the sky or forwards or backwards, down, backwards, down, forward, etc., etc. So these are differences that counts in the technique. Because techniques is understanding all these varieties of things, how you can address these principles.
You know what I miss? The deeper blanc bounce for the last. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
The correction has to do with the aesthetic. It has to have a certain shape, a certain form, a certain understanding. So that they understand, okay, when I do it that way, it's that particular region style or region genre, etc.
Yes, Jamal. Yes. And it's not a matter of energy, it's a matter of precision. Do you understand the difference? C'est pas une question d'énergie, c'est une question de précision. I do believe with precision, you have more power.
When you enter a technique, then you have certain things that you have to go through. You know, and though African dance is holistic, it's also at the same time extremely precise. And I want, when they reach a certain level, I want that precision.
Shoulders and chest, both here. Shaking laterally, shoulder belts, shaking laterally, hips belt.
Show expertise, show virtuosity, show extreme understanding of what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and for me it's an ultimate form of virtuosity.
Zézé. Not. No. Yes. Bam bada bam bada bam, kiki bam bada bam bada ba, kiki ha 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 ha
Dance combination has to do with working on expressivity and appropriation. At first, it's more about, do you feel how it's going on? Do you feel how it happens? Do you feel the resonance with what the body has explored so far? So it's not about doing it right, it's about doing it and feeling it and understanding this is how I'm doing it. by that very open mind, in control, aware, in the present, you should be aware of what you're doing and how you're doing it. The correction that I can bring is to bring them in a very specific aesthetic, because otherwise what they're doing their own style, if we can say, because they move the way they just feel, which is okay, but not if we want to give them something different. So we deconstruct their patterns to enter a new pattern. That is, it has to be done this way, because this way is, within that aesthetic of African dance, it's how it's supposed to be done. The precision, the way you do it.
It's there, not... You know what I mean? Yes. Okay? Again, 5, 6, 7, go. I want to hear it moving. Pom, 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 pom. Come on.
I was also on symbols, meanings, context to work with, because all these are important in African dance. And women have their ways, men have their ways, but I could do it also differently. You know, I just could do groups and men, women, but I think it's more visible when you separate them. And within this frame, you have to find ways of shining with your personality, shining with your emotion, shining with whatever is happening inside. In a controlled way, always. I believe that the work I'm doing is just the application of what I've learned from my thesis. I was trained into movement analysis and the approach of Hubert Godard. That had to do really to study, to learn to observe a dancing body and how to read a dancing body from his perspective. And it's from that experience, it was necessary for me to know more about this way of reading a dancing body, to understand what is it is happening when I observe that dance. I wanted to observe it from a practice perspective, not from an outsider studying the dance, but from what is happening from within for the dancers. What is it that I see, what is it that I feel, and how I can speak about it. And that's the Hubert Godard approach, which I felt was perfect for me. Also, what I've understood from the technique Acogny and the approach, and where I wanted to take it. And I think it just took another step forward by starting to work with ATD.